Okay, so let's get started. People are still jumping in, but that's okay. Ken will be handling the Q&A dialogue box, and so if you have any questions, feel free to ask them, and those will be responded to as they come in. Okay, housekeeping. Happy Friday. Participants will be muted until the Q&A session. Ask questions via the Q&A dialogue, like I just mentioned. We will be recording this webinar, and as always, the playback will be in our Blue Wire support channel. This presentation will also be available in the YouTube video notes for download. So all you have to do is listen. Agenda. So let's see, when we started this a couple of weeks ago, we started with connecting your cameras. Last week was about getting access to those videos and cameras when you're away from your home or business, remote access. And today we're going to talk about recordings and storage. This is usual housekeeping that I present with every webinar. We lead with products, so you can always download and try for 15 days. We're building out our Blue Wire support channel, so fortunately, it's growing. So now we have 3 videos in here. So this was our first webinar on connecting your IP cameras. Last week was about remote access. And then we have this little helper file. Like sometimes when you guys get stuck on connecting your cameras, we need access to it remotely so that we can help you troubleshoot and figure out what's going on. And so this is like a little helper tutorial to connect your cameras to the internet temporarily so that we can get access to it and help you guys out. And then in addition, if you're brand new to Blue Iris, and it can be a little bit daunting, and so we have a lot of customers that have great tutorials on how to use Blue Iris. So Cajoling Technology is one of them, and Home Tech Video is another, and I usually refer to them with every webinar. So here's Cajoling Technologies. They have a great playlist, and so does Home Tech Video, and they have quite a few playlists. And their stuff on triggering, especially, like I often reference it myself when I'm handling support tickets. If you're getting stuck on triggering and creating alerts, I want to draw attention to videos 5, 7, 8, and 9. These are really good videos on how to handle the trigger dialogue. Okay, so today's about recordings and storage. So we're going to talk about what to record to some extent. There's a whole topic on triggering and alerts that we're going to discuss next week. So some of it will be discussed this week, what to record, but a lot of it will be discussed next week. When to record, when you do record, where do you store all the stuff on the computer? How to access the videos. So like basically like, it's not about storing it, but like if something happens, how do you go back to it and try to quickly identify what the issue was or whatever is of concern to you for going back to those videos. Like say there was like an alarm, a burglary or a theft. And then finally, how long to store the videos. Okay, so I'm going to start from the end, how to access, because after you're done, once we share the details on how to record and store the videos, it's really about how do you solve problems, looking back at the videos and quickly finding out what you're trying to find out. And what I'm trying to, the connection I'm trying to make here is computers. They think about files and folders. So here's my Blue Iris folder, and the default folders within Blue Iris is like new, stored, the database. Never want to mess with the database, and alerts. And so if I were to go to my new directory, these are all the files from all my cameras. And you can kind of figure out what each file belongs to. Like ADF is one camera, ADF7 is another camera. You got the date and the timestamp when the files were started. But this would not help you. So this explains like how to store the data, but this definitely does not help you figure out, like, say something happened yesterday on the gate camera. How do you look at the gate quickly and figure out, identify the issue that you're looking for or the concern that you're looking for? So that's what today's discussion is about. It's about creating these files and folders. But then right now I'm going to talk about how do I use it. And so Blue Iris is a very powerful user interface for video search. So let me go through that. So here's a typical layout for Blue Iris. I got 4 cameras that I'm showing primarily. I have others, like, I can enable this, but I wanted to reduce the noise, and so just focus on 4. So anyways, I'm gonna disable the ones on the side. So this is like a typical business office. And so whatever your layout is, you'll see the cameras up front. I'm sure all you guys know about that. On the left is what we refer to as a clip list. And what it's showing right now is like, why are 2 of them in red is because those files are live. So like ADF7, this camera, and this this camera, it's recording right now. And so that's why it's red. And as alerts, right now I have it set for record on alerts only. So anytime there's an alert, the other cameras will go live as well. So that's why some are red and some are not red. And that's what the red indicates. Okay, and then on the bottom is the timeline. So if you click on the time button, you'll go to the current time, like all the way to the right, and then you can go back and forth and see where you're recording. So this is my demo machine. This is not my actual Blue Iris machine. So that's why the black, like when I shut down the machine, Blue Iris is turned off. So that's why it's not recording in between. But in general, like if you had a Blue Iris dedicated machine, you'd have this constantly blue. And then you can see the markers for like when the alerts are. So that's the general layout. Okay. So I want to go through some scenarios. Like, let me go back to my slides. So I want to first explain what clips are and what alerts are. Clips, when I go to the left, all clips and files are the same thing. So if I go to my file folder, and I made a very simple design right now. So I have all my files going to just new. I don't have stored and all the cascading stuff. So this demo becomes quite simple. So if you look at the number of files, there's 31 files. If you look at the number of clips, there's 31 clips. See, 31. And it's 1-to-1. So each one of these clips is basically a file in Blue Iris associated with the camera. Okay, so that's what a clip is. So what's an alert? An alert is based off of the trigger dialog and the things that you consider important in terms of motion or zones. That's where alerts get created. And when you go to the alerts tab of the clip list, what you're seeing is all the activity that you defined as being important. So let me give you so that's generically what it means, but let me give you a scenario. Like say you wanted to know, tell me all the events that happened today, or let's go yesterday for this campus. It's very simple. I can just go to my calendar, go to yesterday. Oh, FYI, when you go to the calendar, the red dots shows you like where you have data, which is really helpful as well. Again, like this is my demo machine, so I don't have enough storage to like store for 30 days. But if you did, you would see all this red prior on the calendar as well. So I'm going to go back to yesterday. So what did I tell Blue Iris to do? I just found all the alerts from yesterday for all the cameras. So I can quickly, if I'm like if I'm curious, like what happened yesterday on my site. Oops, that one's not working. That's okay. It's just this simple. You just double click on it. It goes to it. Go to the next one. You can see on the left, it's scrolling up. Boom. Go to the next. 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 And it's bouncing between different cameras. You see that too, right? Like this is into the driveway, and the next one is back at the gate. So for the entire campus, like what is all the activity that's coming from all your cameras in a chronological order? Very easy to find out like what's going on in your site on any given day. That's one way to do it, using alerts. Another way to do it is the timeline. Like say you want, instead of like focusing in on one view and bouncing between different cameras, suppose you want to get like a full view of all the cameras at once. Blue Iris can handle that, not a problem. How do you do that? You just click on the time. So just like there's filters on the clip list, you can turn that off and you can go to the timeline. And say I go to the 11th. So it's the start of the 11th and I go double click on the timeline. Now I get the controls and I do play. Like there's nothing here. Now it starts the first event from the date that I specified, which was the 11th. Okay. And I can just start playing, and then all the cameras will go live as right now. What's this saying is only this camera is live. The others doesn't have any uh, triggers or alerts associated with it. So let me go to a more powerful example where you'll see all the cameras at once. Oh, here you go. This alert came at 3:31 yesterday, and it's playing. And you can speed it up and slow it down. So the timeline view, but like, I want to go to a better example. So like, what am I going to do is I'm going to go back to, let me go to my flags because I kind of remember like where I put it. I'm going to go back to like the 12th. I'm going to go back to the 12th. Okay, so I'm starting here at the beginning of the day. I'm going to scroll over, move my marker. So this is a composite of all the activity that happened on the 12th. So this is what's cool about Blue Iris. Like say you want to know what activity happened on any particular camera. I can select the camera and then click that. So you see how it altered? So this is all the activity that came from camera ADF7. If I want to know like all activity from ADF8, I can just do boom. Like I only started recording on ADF8 in the afternoon, starting at like 1 p.m. From ADF, if I want to find out activity around 4:30. So I'm going to go to 4:30 because around 4:30 there's overlap between all three cameras, and it really shows you the power of what Blue Iris can do. So let me play. So 4:35, this activity happened on camera. Just call it ADF. Go a little bit faster. 4:50, additional activity. 4:56. Oh wait, I gotta. Oops, sorry. Let me start over again because I only had it focused on one camera. So I'm gonna go back to 4:50 and then hit play again. Sorry about that. 4:34, the gate. A little bit faster. 4:35, both cameras were active. 4:36, 4:42, the back gate. 4:50, the cargo area. 4:51, the gate. 4:53, the gate. So you have you see like with the timeline view, which is very powerful, the sequence of events across your entire campus. So it's very easy to identify um, your your times of interest based off your triggers and what you're recording. And I didn't draw much attention to the controls. I just want to draw attention to it. Like say it's very intuitive as well. Like if you hit play, you can specify how fast you want to go. And say you're going too fast and you want to go back, super easy. Just slide the slider back, and you can go back and see. Like now it's going back the top left one. Then you let go, and it starts playing again at 4 uh, at that time, like wherever you're on the timeline. You can go faster by right clicking. You can go back by one click. You can start playing and then toggle between play. Like say you're looking at this one and you're like, let's go a little bit forward. You want to stop and look at it here. So these tools, these controls are super powerful in terms of like really trying to figure out like, um, if there's something of concern, like pinpointing that and slowly dissecting what's going on there, like you lower the speed, etc. So take advantage of these controls because it's another huge value with the Blue Wire software. Okay, so where are we? So I hope you understand what clips and alerts are. So clips are actually the files on a per camera basis. The alerts is the stuff that you specified in your triggers to help identify events that you believe are of concern. And by having alerts and having alerts in addition to just recording, you can quickly go through events in your Blue Iris. Like with these right and left buttons, you can go back to the last event, the last event, the last event, and you can just quickly go through the day and identify what you're trying to, whatever it is you're looking for. Okay, so how can I quickly review all the events for today? I just showed you that. Let me just review it just so like it's digest with everybody. If I want to like find out all the events for today, a couple of ways to do it. I can go to the alerts list. I can do a filter on today, and these are all the alerts from today, and I can start pounding through them. Like boom, boom. This is 5:22 a.m. This is when I kind of like when I woke up. Boom, boom, boom. Super easy. Another way to do it is go to your timeline. This is the timeline like with all the cameras. You can go to today. Where's my green bar? Today's over here. So this is where it's at. I'm gonna just hit play, and it's gonna bounce right to the first all the clips from today. If you want to focus on one particular camera for today, just double click on it, and it's just all the activity from this camera. You can hit play, and so on. Okay, so hopefully you get the idea. How can I review events across all cameras? That's what the timeline view is about, which is very powerful. Finding an event a specific day at the front gate. So like say, I don't know, say like some employee comes to security and says like, my car got broken into like 3 days ago. How would you try to find that clip, that event so that you can report it to the police? Again, you would go to the clips, go back to the day on the 11th, and then these are all the cameras. Like if you know that car was parked in the back, just click on it. These are all the events and recordings for that camera. You can start playing it, and then go to the next event. ADF8, here we go. Oh, here we go, it's going. The next event, the next event. It looks like it's going to the same event. You can also magnify to see what the events are. Also, these are recordings. So like recordings aren't marked, but as you go through the clip, if you have recordings, I was playing with this earlier. That's why it's going like every 5 to 10 minutes, I think, or 30. Oh, it's just going through 30 seconds to the recordings. So there you go. Okay, so I hope that's clear. So find an event on a specific date at the front gate. All you have to do is go to the calendar, pick the date. If you know which camera it's part of, just click on the camera. If you know the time as well. and then you can just quickly go through the recording. So like if ADF8 is your camera, you can just say ADF8. Oops, that's ADF7. Here's ADF8. Select it. Click 1. Boom. These are all the activities from that date, Wednesday the 11th, for camera ADF8, and you can just go through them chronologically to find the the concern, like when the car was broken into and grabbing that clip. Okay, let me clear all this. Let me clear this. Okay, back to normal, and then I'm going to go back to the time and the current time of the timeline. Find an event on a specific date. I just went through that. How do I take a snapshot? All right, so say this is just a function. There's many reasons why you may or may not want to take a snapshot, but that being said, you can. So if you want to take a snapshot of ADF7, the controls are right here, and you'll see it as a file in your directory as well, so you can get access to it. Close this. It saves it. There it is. You can delete it later or right away. Destroy it. Yep. Okay. Snapshots. If you want to record a video, if you want to go back, like say you've discovered the point of interest associated with, like a car break-in. The way to do that is, let's say this was the event. Okay, stop that. And then you can go to the start of the event. Like that. Super easy. Right click, start frame. So the marker goes to the start of the frame, play it, wait till the car leaves. Maybe that's the end of the frame. Right click, set end frame, and then you can just do export. Default is downloads. MP4 format is the most popular. So that's the way you capture the recording, and then you can share that with law enforcement or whoever you need to share that with. Real easy. And how do I export? I just shared that. So how do I record a video? So if you want to record for like whatever reason, like right now my camera is just set to record on alerts. But like say you want to force a recording because something of interest just pops up or something, and you happen to be looking at the cameras, you can just record it. And then you can stop recording, and there it is. And then you can just, again, you can just export it if you wanted to. Where is export? Convert export. Or you can always just click on the top left button and go through the same process I just talked about earlier. So how do I export video? Okay, so hopefully you understand, like once you have the recordings and storage set, this is the value. Like how do you go back to all that video and I find out points of concern? So you should be able to use the timeline and the clip list and the calendars especially to narrow down your search very quickly and effectively. Some other buttons here just for completeness. The accordion opens up all the clips. This might be useful for some people. It's chronological from left to right and then down. I don't use it so much because I find looking at it from a vertical perspective makes it easier for me, but it's there. If you want to store it by, this is in reverse chronological order. So latest is up front, like today, 8/23. Today, 8/16. You can sort the other way as well, if that's of interest. So that's all the buttons on the clip list, and then I showed you the similar buttons on the timeline, and then the top one is just to get to your to the end, like all the way to the right for your current where it's recording currently. Okay, so that's the user interface. Okay, so you guys now understand how to access. So now we're going to talk about when, like when should you start recording. So now we're going to get into the settings of Blue Iris. Some camera considerations: direct to disk versus re-encode. Like we're going to talk about this more in more detail, but keep in mind, like when you have a new camera, the best thing to do is to use re-encode, just because it has less, uh, like uh, variables, and so getting your camera up and running on re-encode at least confirms that the connectivity, the IP address, all that stuff associated with the very first webinar on connecting cameras is working. And then once you have it work, once you know that all that stuff is confirmed and working, then you might want to go into direct to disk. And the reason people go to direct to disk is because you save on CPU usage and store it, and just resources and performance on your computer if you can just save directly to disk. And I brought up this status dialog for cameras. Um, Easy to get to, just go to status and then cameras. And then this is how you get to it. Uh, just because one of the troubleshooting issues that comes up is if you look at my camera, well, why did I just bring it up? If you look at my cameras, um, the one key statistic that we ask about is the the key rate, and it's like at 0.6, 0.7. I don't want to go into details on explaining on what that value means, but keep in mind, like if this is below, like I'm at kind of the threshold right now, like if it's less than 0.5, then there's an issue, not an issue, but like um, the the camera's not going to behave well with Blue Iris, especially when it comes to like searching and going back and forth in the video. And so one thing to keep in mind is like once it starts getting to like below zero point 0.5, uh, one possible fix is going to re-encode. And I don't want to get the details of it right now, but that's just like a little tip and trick. Like if your camera is not working and you go to this camera status and you see that this number's low, then switch it from direct to disk to re-encode. All right, so basic use cases. So use case one is like a lot of people just record alerts, and the reason they do that is like, especially like if your Blue Iris is for your home, and the reality is like for most homes, I would imagine like myself, like there is like very little activity, and so recording 24/7 is kind of might be considered wasteful, and all you really want to record is just the events. So this is a very common setting for homeowners. And another perspective is storage is cheap, and so like I'd rather be safe than sorry and record everything. Two very common scenarios, and I'm going to talk about both right now. So that's the first setting. So when triggered is basically saying just record when there are events. And so the metaphor I like to use here is like you got these cameras and they're always like streaming video, right? It's always on. And so do you want to get drops of events that you want to store into your bucket, i.e. file, i.e. clip, or do you want to like record everything and put that into your file or slash clip? So that's the first consideration. And so it's up to you. Like if you think if storage is cheap and you much rather just save it all, that's fine. It's a user preference. And the other thing to keep in mind is like regardless of the settings, you have to like keep in mind like how big you want that file to be. This bucket slash clip slash file. How big do you want that to be? Um, I set it quite small to like 4 gigs just because this is my demo machine and I'm limited on storage. I've seen customers like this can be 500 gigs, 1 terabyte, 5 terabytes, like whatever. Like it can be quite large. and the default is the file size, like whichever hits first. If the file gets, if you have a lot of activity on your cameras and the file size hits first, it'll stop that file at that time. Otherwise, it'll go for 8 hours, and so every 8 hours you'll get a clip. So like for each camera, so like if you have camera one and you have it set for 8 hours and like 10 gigs, and it never gets to the capacity, you're gonna get 3 files every day for each camera. And so when you go to your Blue Iris for your new directory, you would see like for for the camera, you would see 3 files, ADF, like, and then a timestamp. So that's triggered. That's like a very popular setting, and then all you have to do is think about the time for storage as well as the size. The next topic is continuous. So this is I'm like, you're like, I want to record everything just in case. Like I don't want to miss anything, and so that's fine too. And again, keep in mind, like just because you select continuous, it does not mean that you're no longer recording the alerts. It does not mean that you don't get the alerts still and being able to identify and search on it, like all these the orange bars. It's still there. Only thing you're telling Blue Iris is, in addition to the triggers, make sure that you're recording everything. Okay. And I see a lot of customers, like they don't want this, like if they're recording all the time, they sometimes drop it down to 1 hour, like so every hour you get a file. You can, I don't think you need to. You can leave it at 8, the default, but I've seen customers do that. Just a little another little tip from best practices that other customers are doing. And the reason I say you don't have to do that is because the search is so powerful. Like it doesn't really matter. Like, you know, the search is based off of I want to find something on the 12th, and uh, it's from camera ADF, like this camera ADF, like the courtyard camera. And so I would just click on that. I would just click on that, and then this is from that date, and I would just, oh, these are alerts. Let me go to the clips. Sorry. I would just start with ADF cameras and then just work through it. Like this is all the recordings from that camera, and then I would just speed through it. So I don't see why it's very important to use 1 hour, like dividing up the files, but if you wanted to, you can. All right, compression is the next concept. So we talked about how much video you want to store, but compression is about like you can like really make this small. You can choose to make this smaller based off of algorithms. Like how much, like this data could be based off the compression algorithms. This could be smaller or larger, and so that's what compression is about. And in general, unless you have some compelling reason for MPEG-4, almost all customers use Blue Iris DVR. Like I haven't come across one that has used MPEG-4. And the only reason you may, after talking to Ken, was if you want to directly share that file with somebody else, and BVR is a proprietary format. That's the only use case I found so far. So just keep that in mind. And second, AVN and WMV, these are like deprecated. They're still in the application, but these are old formats from Microsoft, and I don't think anybody uses this anymore. So use Blue Iris DVR as your format, and then the question is direct to disk and re-encode. So like what I alluded to earlier, is start off with re-encode if it's a new camera and you're trying to figure it out, get it to work. This almost always works. And then once it does, you might want to go to direct to disk later on, just because direct to disk reduces CPU usage, and it just saves some usage on your computers. Okay, high resolution cameras. This is becoming more and more of a topic. So if you have greater than 1 meg cameras, like 2 megs, 4 megs, 8 megs, um, you need to start thinking about substreams. And the reason is because I'm doing some of these tickets now, and I've been noticing like cameras start to get overloaded. And if it's like a high resolution camera and you're trying to like pull all that data for each frame back to Blue Iris, sometimes the signal gets lost. And we've noticed that providing a substream in your configuration for the camera alleviates that problem. And so I have all my cameras using mainstreams and substreams. And these are all 2 meg cameras. And so you can't tell, like looking at it like from here, but these are all the low resolution substreams that you're seeing. And by having the substreams, it's a benefit in terms of the load on the cameras, but Blue Iris takes a lot of advantage of this, especially when it comes to like streaming it to your iPhone or from a remote browser. So having these substreams are of value, and you can tell the difference if I double click on it. Now it goes to high res, and you kind of saw that flip. And um, so Blue Iris can take advantage of mainstreams and substreams all behind the scenes. You have to worry about it, but the value of it is like it reduces the load on the cameras, and sometimes no signals that we're starting to see pop up with high resolution cameras can be alleviated by using substreams. That's a big takeaway. And oftentimes, when you have high resolution cameras, like once you get it working on re-encode, the best practice is to go direct to disk just because it just saves on CPU usage. Okay, so that's the win, like the recording part of it, like all the settings associated with recordings. So I went through it via slides, but just to be clear, a lot of the topics that I just talked about is from the recordings tab of each camera. Okay. Now we're going to talk about where to store it. So this is about, oops. This is about the clips and archiving settings of Blue Iris. So once you go to each of your cameras and determine what to record and how much to record, etc., let me clear all this stuff. The next step is where do you store all this stuff? And so this is where you go to settings and clips and archiving. And this part is fairly simple. It's all about telling the computer where is Blue Iris folders and then what do you want to store when in these folders. And I'll talk about that more specifically right now. So there's lots of, let me start with the top. Like this is like all database stuff. I would not mess with this unless you have a real compelling reason and you reach out to us to determine it's a compelling reason, like doing the compact repair, it should always be checked. You might want to change the time, but that's about it. We'll talk about these settings in a second. But now let me talk about the bottom. So this is the folders, like where do you store all these files that you're creating for each of the cameras? And so the default is C Blue Iris New, like your local storage, like C drive. As long as it's fast and local, you're fine. So it doesn't have to be C drive. It could be D, whatever. You can have other hard drives on your computer. The other thing to keep in mind is the list of folders. You can have as many as 9. Like new and store, that's 2 plus the auxes, 7 plus 2 is 9. And so the idea here is just cascading. So like when you're currently recording your current files, it goes into new. And then you determine when those files should move to a different directory. And so you can like, move it to stored, move it to aux1, all the way up to aux9, and then eventually you got to delete it because there's only so much you can store. So that's basically what the concept is. And so all you have to think about is, in terms of the bottom part, is size, age, and what do you want to do next? Do you want to delete it? Do you want to recycle it? Do you want to move it? So this is a demo machine, so I made it really simple. Like put it in new, and then after the size of a file, after the folder size becomes 8 GB, which because I have limited storage, or 7 days, I delete it. Now, for most people, you would take it from new and move it to another folder, like the default is stored. So that's where you would do from here, move to folder, and then specify the folder name. So new, stored, and then you can have like NAS directories here, NAS drives for aux1, aux2, etc. Like you can get very sophisticated in terms of amount of storage, depending on how much storage you have. And so that's the basic concept with where you want to store all your files. Pretty simple. Um, we'll do Q&A right after this, so you can ask questions then. Okay, so there's just alerts folders just for completeness. It's rarely used. It's based off of the trigger dialog, and if you click store alert images as high res files, this is where it gets stored in the alerts folder. Why would somebody choose to do this? Oftentimes it's for integrations with like AI integrations with vendors. So what it's doing is like all these, like when you look at the when you see these clip images and on the left, these are low resolution images by default. If you change this to, if you check on this, it'll be the high resolution images. So like, this version of it. And it might be needed, like we have a partner for license plates, an LPR partner. They might need a high resolution image in order to process it correctly. And that's the way they do that. So you would turn on high res, and the consequences of this is not only is it cosmetic in terms of like what you see on the application on the software itself, but that is also the high resolution image that will be sent to the AI partners for processing, and so it helps them. So that's the most common reason why you would ever use the alerts folder. For most people, you just uncheck it. Status and error messages. So like we like a check log clip move deletes, because if you guys have storage issues and you like come to us for help, the first thing we'll ask is like what's the messages from your status dialog. And so this helps us understand what's going on your computer. And just to explain what it does, delete nothing means there's nothing to do. The 127 out of 168, like 168 divided by 24 is 7 days. So basically, for your new folder, we know that you specified 7 days for the history of the files, and the oldest file is 127 hours of basically like 6 days or whatever of that 7 days old. The middle value is how much how big is that folder? 3 gigs, and 2.85 of that is being used right now. And then the last value is how much free space is there on the hard drive itself. And so this helps us help you guys figure out what's going on with your storage. The status and error message, this is also very helpful for us as well as yourselves. So Blue Wireless will check and tell you, like, after you set up your storage and your files and locations, it'll explain to you like whether you're okay. So like this is kind of dangerous. Like the amount of free space left is like a slither, and so I need to like fix this. But that being said, visually what this is saying is your drive, your C drive in particular, has this much storage, and the gray is being used. Like I have files, Word documents, whatever, and that's being used by a big chunk of the hard drive. And then in addition to that, I've allocated this much space for Blue Iris. And of the 16 gigs, 8.25 is being used right now. And outside of the outside of what's being used currently, as well as what's being used by Blue Iris, that green slither is all that's left, that's allocated for like miscellaneous stuff. And so that's a problem. So I'll have to fix this after this call. A way to, you can play around with it too. So like if I go to settings, clips and archiving, and I go to, like right now, I'm not for new. Oh, it's set to move to folder. Actually, I used to have it at delete. Um, if I go to I created this new folder called Blue Iris Cloud. Like I'm playing with stuff. But that being said, if I change this to something huge like 21 gigs and I hit OK, and I go to Blue Iris, it's also like, whoa, like I specified storage on for Blue Iris that's way bigger than the hard drive has. In fact, I'm 20 gigs short. So this could cause problems. So this is a really good way to make sure that whatever you configured for storage and folders is in sync and works with how much storage you actually have. So I'm going to change that back. Blue Iris in the cloud. And then new, delete. Okay. All right. Okay. Storage calculator. A lot of customers ask how much storage do I need to purchase for my cameras. So it's super easy. So like if you go to Blue Iris and you have like streamed, it'll tell you how many kilobits per second that camera, your specific cameras are pushing to Blue Iris. And so all you have to do is go right click on a camera, go to camera settings. In general, Blue Iris provides you the information. So because I have mainstreams and substreams, 188 plus 20, like 200 kilobits per second. And so you can find out your stats for your camera. You can use this formula, 200 kilobits per second divided by 10, multiplied by, you can go through the formula and understand like why it is, but this will tell you megabits per day that are needed for storage. And so that tells you how much storage you need for that camera for one day. And then if you wanted to store up to 30 days, that would be that number times 30. That's one way to do it. I just felt like an even easier way is the default is you create files every 8 hours. Like assuming that the files when you're recording, the default is uh, each file is 8 hours unless it hits a cap. So like make sure the cap doesn't get hit and it just stays for 8 hours. So for each camera, you know exactly on average, you'll have 3 files for each camera because eight times 3 is 24 hours. For one day, you have eight files. You can just take the size of those 8 files. I mean, those 3 files, um, sum it up, and that's how much you store. That's how much storage you would need for one day, and then multiply that by the number of days of recording you want. So all the information you need is in Blue Iris, either in Blue Iris or in your folders. Like if I were to go to new and I had 80, all my ADFs, like I was turning this on and off because of my demo machine, but in general, you would just have 3 files per day. And so you can just sum it up and then you know exactly how much storage you need per camera per day. Real simple. Okay, recording and storage. So I finished most of my prepared talk, like when, where, how to access, and how long to store. So at this point of the webinar, you should be set in terms of how to set up your recordings, how to set up your recordings, all this stuff, how to set up your files, your storage, all this stuff, and and be able to like do video searches very easily, very effectively. So I'm gonna open up for questions because that's the gist of it. And there's more. I'm gonna, like the rest of it is all the details associated with the dialogues. And I'm gonna pause right now for like a couple of minutes to answer any Q&A before I go into all this other stuff, which is just details and like cool stuff that you can do on Blue Iris that for most people isn't of concern. So let's take some questions right now. Let me go to the chat. All right, let me go to Q&A. Let me go to participants, sorry. Okay, if you have a question, just raise your hand and I'll let you ask it.
Oh, on mute. Hello?
Hello, hey, Kiri.
Yeah, hi there. Okay, yeah, good presentation. I just wanted to ask you, just to clarify, because in terms of alerts, those alerts are just pointers and they're actually stored within the BVR file, right?
100%. Everything is encapsulated in the BVR. The alerts, the mainstream, the substream, it's all in one file per camera. Correct.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, because once what happened was I inadvertently deleted alerts on my mobile app, but the actual clips were there, and there's no way to recover that, is there? If you actually delete an alert, which I presume is just a pointer.
Ken, you want to clarify that? I think you're right. That sounds right to me.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is with the alerts, because you can delete them, but if you delete an alert, I mean, they are gone for good, but the actual BVR file's there. So it's pretty important that, people should tread carefully with alerts in question, because if you delete them, there's no way to get them back, but the actual clip will be there for the duration, like as you were talking about, like depending on how many hours you would have by default, I think it's 8 hours or up to 4 gig or whatever. Anyway, I just wanted to clarify that point because they're not individual files per se, it's that one BVR file.
It is that one BVR file. And so if you destroy it, Ken, it's gone for good. But there is a recycle choice as well. So you could put in a recycling bin also. But yeah, in general, if you destroy the alert, it's gone. It's gone for good.
Anyway, listen, I just wanted to say the presentation is really good, and say thanks to Ken as well for helping me out over there as well, because I do send them emails from time to time. He's been a great help to me. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, yeah, no, Ken's great. Okay, Dale, you can ask your question now if you want.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay, so I've got 10 cameras on my Blue Iris system. My two that are probably my highest resolution, when I go to that Blue Iris status screen and I look at the frames per second / key, I have a couple cameras that I see the key is down there below 0.5. I've got one at 0.13 and one at 0.03. And these cameras also seem to, when they trigger, they give me like a view that there's a snapshot taken for 30 seconds, but when I go to view it, it's blank. So I suspect that the blank recordings are also a problem that I can visibly see now with this key being too short. What modifications do you need to make to get that key back up above 0.5?
You can't really mess with it. Well, maybe you can mess with the camera. I'm not sure about the camera side of things, but what you should do on our side of things is when you go to record, I'm not sure if you're doing direct to disk right now, but push it to re-encode and see if that resolves it.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, you do need to modify the key rate. It's in the camera itself. So you have to go through the browser interface to the camera. Usually there's a video encoding page where you can control that. There are some very basic settings for the cameras that we recommend. One of them is don't turn on any kind of like a smart codec mode or a plus mode. all these things are designed to decrease bandwidth for streaming, but they make the streams difficult to use for recording and playback. So it's not great for a DVR system. It's fine for streaming, but the plus codecs and smart codecs lower the key rates to lower the bandwidth is what it's doing. So you want to make sure those are off, and then there is usually also a setting for the key rate as well. So you can say,
Okay.
Yeah, here we go. Sorry, it took a while to find it, but yeah, like some of these cameras are very sophisticated. So if you have stuff like smart codecs or H.264 plus, those are like signs that it's not sending enough P frames to us. So like exactly what Ken said, like you might have to turn the stuff off.
Okay, that's great. I mean, I was at a point where I felt that it's something to do with the way I have these configured, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. But now that I can see in the status screen the result of what's coming through, I know what to target at least now to try to get that improvement.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Larry. Let me unmute you. Okay. Hey, Larry.
Got it. How's that?
Yep, there you are. We can hear you.
Oh, okay, quick. I have about 3 quick questions. Did you cover anything about pre-trigger the video buffer?
I did not.
Yeah, what is all that about? And do you use it? Do you not use it? It's in record, first item under record.
Right. I know what you're saying. I usually leave it at 0 just because, I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, in the trigger, when you define your triggers, you can define the buffers, like the pre and, you know, like the make time and all that stuff, right? Like, where is that?
It's in the record tab.
Yeah, I know, but all I'm saying is like the trigger like helps you define the events in terms of pre and like during the event and all that stuff. So I don't really mess with that. Can you provide some clarity on like why would you do it on this end of things versus on the trigger side of things?
all right, well, the simple reason that exists is to make up for the make time for your motion detection. So if you say, I only want to trigger if somebody's been walking across for 2 seconds or cars been moving for 2 seconds, just to eliminate false triggers and things, then you will actually miss those 2 seconds of video in your recording because it was determining whether or not to trigger during those 2 seconds. Once it triggers, it records from the point of trigger forward. Now, if you use the pre-trigger buffer, it will also record the time before the actual trigger was determined. So that way you can see the car or the person entering the scene as well. That's the original reason. Nowadays, it's also necessary to use that to account for your keyframe rate. If you have a keyframe rate of 0.5, that means that there's a keyframe only every 2 seconds. Recording can only begin on the keyframe boundary. So it will also provide you those 2 seconds of video before that key.
Oh, okay. Next question. I do all my recordings on thumb drives. I actually have the camera GUI recording to one thumb drive. And then on Blue Iris, I have the new folder on a USB 3.0 drive. That thumb drive, I have it set up that way on the clips and archiving. That thumb drive needs to be formatted as FAT32 or NTFS. Do you know? Can you answer that?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not sure it matters a whole lot. I think one of them may be slightly more efficient in reading and writing, but honestly, I don't know offhand which one that is.
If you have the choice, use NTFS. It's definitely more, it's more efficient.
Yeah, I don't use I have an SSD in my computer and I don't want to keep recording to it 24 hours a day. It keeps track of how many times you've written to it, and they do have an end of life. Okay. God, I'm gonna drop my hand, and I might raise it again before we're over.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
Thank you.
Richard, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
So I was interested. You said you created your files set to 8 hours, so that each BVR file is set to 8-hour blocks. And I found that I was routinely setting my file size max to, well, actually breaking up into 1-minute segments. And so I would end up with a ton of small BVR files.
Right.
And the benefit to me was that I could then look at the, instead of relying on alerts, I could simply look at the file view, the clip view, and quickly gauge, when did someone appear, when did a car appear. Also, it would help me because it seemed like I was having problems with corrupted BVR files for a while. So I got really afraid of having an 8-hour file where I would lose everything. So I just wanted your input on, maybe I have a unique scenario where I was having corrupted files, but is there, you said that you could just go through the video itself to look for events or interesting things to look at. And I just wanted your input on your thought on that and whether you've ever found it useful to break files up into small 1-minute segments.
I would never do that. Like I would use Blue Iris. Like that seems like, so you would go to the actual file folder and like.
No, just from within Blue Iris on the left side. You're right now you're looking at alerts on the left. I always look at the clips, and so my clips would quickly tell me, like, when did that white car leave or go? When did it come? When did it leave? And so scrolling up and down the list of files, I would do that as opposed to skimming through the video itself. But I noticed you just skim through the video itself, and that, I'm trying to think maybe that's a better solution. But I think the key reason I started doing that is because I was just ending up with corrupted files periodically, and I'm terrified that I'll end up with a whole day where I lose a whole day because the file gets corrupted. Is that something not common? Maybe I've kind of got a strange situation then in terms of corrupted files.
Ken, you want to take that?
First of all, we are interested in why a file would become corrupted. If it's an MP4 file, that file must be closed properly. Otherwise, it is by default corrupted. It needs to be closed. If you're using BVR format, it's pretty resilient. I mean, you could pull the power or whatever, and it should be able to pick up where it left off and do some independent. But the other common thing that causes some apparent corruption is when the file's never created in the first place. It's like 0 bytes. Software may report that as file not found, or if it wrote the header but never wrote any video, it may call it corrupted. That could happen if you're recording direct to disk and you don't have enough frames, keyframes coming in. There's some situations which would cause that. But of course, there is actual corruption. There could be a problem with the drive and all that stuff as well. But if you send us one of those files, we can take a look at it.
Okay, so I appreciate the feedback. It sounds like I should try to go to the 8-hour one file method, and then because whatever I was dealing with in the past, maybe that's not really an issue. Maybe it's not as common as it. So I was dealing with something unique. So I'll try the 8-hour block and see how that goes. I appreciate the feedback.
Yeah, for sure. By default, the reason the alerts list exists is to allow you to go through and see all the activity quickly, kind of like what you're describing you did for the files. But it is a valid strategy to turn off that cut or combine setting and just have one file per event as well. You could do that.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Sure.
If you're concerned about the hard drive and corruption, like 1 minute seems like overkill. Like maybe cut it down to like 1 hour, like instead of 8. Like as another suggestion. Okay, Dale. Ask to unmute. Okay, Dale. Or was it just Dale that was speaking?
Well, okay, I had to unmute. You may have covered this already, but on the record tab at the very bottom, it's record dual streams if available. Should we check that? Should we not check it? I thought I had heard at one time that it kind of does the high resolution stream when the trigger comes in. Now, you don't show it on yours, but there's another tab or there's another checkbox.
Oh, the latest version has, yeah, I've seen that too. Is that right, Ken? Like there's like a new checkbox, right?
Yeah, it says record dual streams if available. And what's the recommendation on that? High resolution cameras and low resolution cameras the same, or?
Excuse me, that checkbox was added as a customer request. By default, it would record both the main and the substreams to the BVR file so that you could play them back. You have a choice of which one to play back, locally or remote. But apparently the customer wanted to further save a bit of recording storage by not recording the substream. So the option was added for that.
So I think what I hear you say is probably leave it checked.
Yeah, the default will be leave it checked. This gives you the best flexibility. Overall, it allows you to basically, it allows the software to choose which resolution to use for display based on your requested resolution.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, Jason. Hey, Jason.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, first and foremost, thank you all for putting these together. I've attended the last few of these, super helpful, great insight. Really appreciate the information that you're willing to share with all of us. My question comes with the BVR files, and I was curious if you have any recommendations on a non-Blue Iris video player or third-party app that may be friendly to BVR files, or if in general the best practice is to share those files as MP4 or some other type of format.
It's been several months now, definitely maybe version 5.2-ish. When the demo period runs out, the software is a BVR player that you can just drag and drop files into the window. So anybody can download Blue Iris for free and use it as a player.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Kiri. Hi,
Yeah, sorry, just a quick one. Are there going to be more webinars to follow?
Yes, 100%. Next one is on the actual triggers, like the trigger dialogue. That's always a big issue as well. Like how to create the triggers, like what you want. When I speak to customers, like when you got like alerts like 22 seconds, 14 seconds, 13 seconds, etc., it's working pretty well. When you don't have it set correctly, like some customers will have a trigger, like a clip, I mean an alert rather, sorry, that's like an hour long. So that means your sensitivity of your camera is like way too high and stuff. So next week we're going to talk about triggers, but there's a whole bunch of other, I mean, there's like so many topics that, we're just gathering feedback, looking at support tickets, and then based off of that is how we choose the next webinar.
All right, excellent, brilliant, thank you.
Yep. Where the raise hands, there we go. Hey, Mike.
Hi, Mike Barford.
Hello.
I have just one question. I'm sitting here watching this video,
Okay.
And I know you've got a PTZ in there that's going back and forth. But I noticed something. When a guy drove in and got out of his car, it looked like it zoomed into him and followed him. Am I imagining things, or is that actually a feature of the software?
No, that's a feature of the camera.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, that's what was my question.
Okay, no problem. Thanks, Mike.
Okay.
Bruce, go ahead.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good, thanks. I seem to, I don't have my version sitting here in front of me. I seem to recall in the player version, shall we say, when you're playing back a video and you pause it, I seem to recall basically a step through on a frame by frame basis. I think in version 5 or the latest version, that's missing. Am I right? Or am I literally missing something for a frame by frame step through the video?
It's pretty granular. Like I can show you, like if I go to a clip like this one, like you can go like a half a sec.
Well,
It's not frame by frame, but it's like 1/2 and
yeah, well,
is
quite
that?
frankly, I
If you
just
click
find,
just to the, excuse me, if you click just to the right and left of the pause button, where that first white dot is, that's the step. Yes, it is a bit hidden.
Yeah, there you go. It's hard to get to.
yeah, okay, sorry, you can still hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and you just said the magic words, it's hard to get to. I find that very finicky, whereas I'm just simply looking for a button, press the space bar, whatever, the hop frame by frame by frame by frame, because sometimes that's valuable when you're looking for a detail versus frankly farting around with those little tiny buttons at the bottom.
Yeah, it is literally that white dot to the right and left of the pause button. And yes, I agree. It probably should be made more prominent. Thanks for your feedback on that.
Yeah, I've actually created my own little script, and to do that, I press the F key, frame moves me forward by 1 frame. I press the B key, takes me back a frame. But, and again, am I wrong? Wasn't that available in previous versions, a simple frame by frame?
Well, like I said, the frame by frame is still here. It's just the UI has changed a bit. And
Okay, so again, so I won't take up any more time other than to get clarity. That single dot either side of the pause button is a frame by frame option. Is that right?
that is correct. If you notice when Sam's
Oh
clicking,
yeah.
it immediately goes back to pause.
Okay, great. Thanks, thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate
Oh,
it.
there you go. Yeah, you just click. Yeah, you just click on the dots. That's, yeah, it works.
Thank you.
I just learned something new too, so thank you.
You could also map those to keys on the keyboard. Many customers have asked for that. So that's possible too. It'll save you some time trying to click the dots.
Oh, cool. Okay. All right, Kevin. Do you have a question?
Yes, once again, as others have said, thank you so much for doing this. This is really helpful. I had posted a question just in the text list there, but this kind of expounds on Mike's question. I'm very interested in what type of tracking PTZ camera you're using. I've got a couple locations in our enterprise deployment. I'm toying with doing a similar technology.
Oh, I can get back to you on that. Can you send me an email? Because you know, my reseller sets, like, I don't know. I don't know right now. Like, I can find out though.
Okay, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are 2 Kevins. Okay, here's Kevin Huffman. Go ahead, Kevin.
Actually, that was me. So I guess just one.
Oh, okay. Gregory, here you go. Gregor, sorry. Hello, Gregor?
Hello, that was my fault. I was screwed with mute. Do you hear me now?
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, we can hear you.
Great. It's about, my question is about the key ratio, which is supposed to be at least bigger than 0.5. You told us earlier. And what measures do we have to increase them if it's lower than 0.5?
1505.
What I'm heading for is this.
You'd have to go to the camera's web interface to manage the encoding settings on the camera to adjust that.
Okay. So, okay, but what should I do on the camera?
I don't know if Sam has one ready that he can pull up to give an example. Usually, on the left, there's a menu that would say camera settings or video, and then under video, there'd be encoding settings. And then under there, you would find, usually it's labeled key rate, iframe, rate, interval. You know, there's some different wording that's used, but
Let's see.
maybe if you tell us your specific camera, we could find an example online as well.
This is the DVR. Can you get access to it from the DVR, the NVR rather? This is for Hike Vision.
Okay.
This is more to Ken. Like I've never messed with this kind of stuff.
Maybe the video audio. And then, yeah, there you go, right there. So it does not have a setting for
P frames?
Right, in this case, yeah. Now this could be, maybe it's not exposed through the DVR, maybe it's only direct to the camera.
Right.
Or it's possible it just doesn't have a setting for that. In this case, it's not so bad because you're at 0.6.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're seeing very low rates like 0.1 and lower, it's probably because there's a smart codec enabled or a plus mode enabled. All you have to do is turn that off first of all.
Okay, on the camera, to turn it off in the camera or on the camera. Okay, fine. Thank you.
Right.
Appreciate it.
So tied to that question, you know, I asked that similar question on how I can adjust mine, and I logged into my camera, and under the audio video settings, I had a tab called H.264 plus, where you could enable it. And when I went to that, it wouldn't allow me to modify that iRate. But as soon as I shut that off, then I could. So that may be an issue where there could be settings, as already suggested, that there's a lot of different settings and you can turn the wrong one on. It could change some of these other things.
That's exactly right. You're highlighting the specific setting that I'm disrecommending. You definitely want to disable the plus mode.
Yep. Okay, once again, thank you.
Okay, I think that's it for the questions. Raise your hands. Oh, there's more. Oops. Okay, sorry. Okay, Kyrie again.
Yeah, I just wanted to say in relation to that key issue that people are making reference to. I've just checked mine, and obviously, if your cameras are running at full speed, I mean, I've got my cameras running at 30 frames per second. If you have something like night vision, so it goes dark and night vision kicks in, it's going to by default reduce your frames per second, and as a result, your key will reduce by half. So instead of it being 1, it will go to 0.5 automatically. And whereas if the night vision then turns off, and if a light comes on and your night vision's off, your key will then go back to 1. I just thought I'd mention that.
Yes, thank you. Definitely some cameras use an interval. So they'll say an interval of frames versus an interval of time. So it is a matter of how the camera was programmed, basically.
Okay, Chris, here you go.
Hi guys, I got a question regarding storage. I currently have a cascading type storage setup where I'm recording to new and then it moves to archive and then aux. I'm trying to consolidate that and put everything onto just one drive, make things easier. I have a bunch of recordings ranging back to 3 to 4 weeks or whatever. If I wanted to consolidate that, let's say if I drop a new drive in, I know how to replace it, but can I move all the recordings into just new and then repair it to DB?
Move all your recordings to new and then do what?
So I'm recording. So currently it's recording to new, right? And then it's transferring files after a certain recording date, X amount of storage, and it's moving to a stored folder and then to an aux folder, right? But what I want to do is I want to eliminate all that and move my recordings also just new. Is it possible to do that?
Oh, I see. So basically, you're just gonna say like keep everything in new, and then after like 14 days or whatever, just delete them.
Correct. Yeah, but right now I have, let's say I have three 2 terabyte drives, right? I have a 2 terabyte new, 2 terabyte stored, and a 2 terabyte aux. And what I want to do is I want to eliminate all that and just drop in like a 6 terabyte drive and keep everything anew. I could either just start from scratch, but I kind of don't want to lose the recordings if it's possible.
Yeah, just set all of the folders to the delete setting so nothing gets moved anymore, and then you could manually highlight things in the clip list and just select to move it to new. Once those other folders are empty, then you can just undefine them at that point. Just remove the.
No, they went over.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, they're answering questions.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go shower and then you can and I'll demonstrate.
Okay.
You're okay?
Thank you guys.
Okay. Okay, so that was asked. Was that Chris that just asked the question, or I just unmuted Chris?
Yeah, that was me.
Okay, all right. Larry, do you have a question again? Okay, wait.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I didn't know I was unmuted. Yeah, I have a nagging question. You can talk about it now or maybe next week. Under connections, under the status screen, I get bombarded by other websites that are trying to hit it, and the listing shows no connection, but if you go to the messages page, it shows I could have 25 different websites there, and it'll say authorization AUTH failed, and it'll be really, and on the connections page, I'd highlight them and I hit permanent block, and I probably have 500 or more addresses over in that page. I forget the tab number, the tab that it's called, where they're listed. And I have antivirus. My router has antivirus and firewall and you name it. And I know it's not getting into anything, but it just drives me crazy. I just thought I'd ask about that. I probably write, if I went to my computer.
You'll find this discussed in the FAQ section at the end of the help file, but definitely because you have it online for you to come in, other people, other bots, other crawlers and spiders, whatever, can ping the address and just to check to see if there's anything there. But definitely they're not able to log in or view your video if you maintain everything, if you maintain the authentication enabled and use the secure login. So it's generally nothing to worry about, but It sounds like you're certainly testing my IP limit box. I don't think I've ever had 500 in that box, so thanks for that.
Oh, the box is like, I can scroll for like 2 minutes of all the numbers I blocked over the last 2 years. The IP addresses. And then one time I noticed something weird about my own system, and I think I accidentally blocked my camera, my phone accessing it. I found the my IP from my phone and I deleted it.
One thing to be aware of, you can also use wildcards in that box as well. So if you have a bunch of IP addresses all from China, for example, you can just block all of China typically.
Oh, okay, great.
With one entry.
Yeah, I'm not worried. Nothing is ever connected, but it's been going on forever. Thanks.
Thanks, Larry.
Okay. There.
Oh yeah. Is that? Does somebody have a question? If you're not going to ask a question, you can just mute yourself as well. Oh, here we go. Here's another one. No, I guess not. Hey, Ken, are there any pressing questions in Q&A that you want to share?
They've all been answered. The one that has not, two people have asked how to set up a sub stream and sub channel. I thought maybe you could just show the page in your on your drive or your system.
Sure. Just right click, camera settings. So, you know, there's some art associated with this because like mine are hike vision cameras. So like I knew from documentation that 701 and 70, the second digit, the third digit, the 2 represents a substream. It really depends on the vendor. So I was working with a customer yesterday and they had some cryptic, you know, some cryptic string here. And then there was a number and we were like, well, we couldn't find any documentation. So we just changed that number from 1 to 2 and the substream worked. So you can look through documentation to find out what it is. And if you can't, you can just start playing with stuff and see if it works.
There are some cameras that are more obvious. They'll have a part of the URL will say substream equals 0, and then you just use the same string and have substream equals 1. Or they can be more cryptic like this one.
Exactly. And the way to know if it works is when we're playing with that, you know, I was playing with a customer yesterday about this and we looked at the streams and it was identical. So that pretty much meant that it was the same stream being pulled. It wasn't a substream. If there's no delta between the resolution and the number of bits, then you're not pulling a substream, obviously. So that's one way to check whether what you did is actually working. Okay, it's 9:30. I don't know. Wow, this is like the longest webinar. So Ken, should I finish up on the other options or should we call it a day?
Well, people are slowly dropping out. I think that's a sign that we've exhausted.
It's a sign that we what?
Yeah, we've gone over half an hour, so half an hour of questions. I think. Yeah, please feel free to write to the support email with anything that we've not covered. Also, check the Q&A box. Not much has been answered in there as well.
Yeah, we'll do. Okay, so I think what you're saying is that we'll call it a wrap, right?
Yeah, I think you should.
Okay. Yeah, there's other stuff here. I'll in regards to I'll just gloss over it just to let you guys know what's in the slides. If you're interested in periodic or time lapse, some other settings in the dialogue, there's documentation on it, and so that'll be part of the YouTube show notes. And if you need to go, if you want to go over this in any detail, just reach out to support and we'll answer your questions. Okay. Well, thanks everybody. Happy Friday, and we'll see you next week. The topic for next week is triggers and alerts, and then profile schedules. These are like some of the immediate things coming up.
Thanks very much. Great job.
Thank you, and see you soon. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Thank
Stay
you guys.
well.